Hello everyone, and welcome to my UK Royal Family News channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. After repeating Trump's significant etiquette violation while out in public with King, Biden incites rage. During Joe Biden's brief visit to the UK today, the King and the US President had a meeting at Windsor Castle. While visiting Windsor Castle with King Charles, President Joe Biden drew criticism for appearing to break royal decorum. The U.S. President approached the Queen as the two were inspecting the Welsh Guards. He had just finished a meeting with Rishi Sunak in Downing Street. Twitter users who follow royalty have accused the president of breaking tradition. One such user is at Jack Buckby, who wrote, "Biden just flat out breaks protocol and steps in front of the king here. He doesn't know where he is." Biden has no idea where he is, according to @TheOnlyGuru, another user. He cannot possibly run for office again. He's out for a stroll. Even though Biden sent his wife Jill to represent him at the king's coronation at Westminster Abbey earlier this year, fueling rumors of his anti-British position, the president and the king nonetheless seemed to get along well. Biden traveled to Windsor to speak with Charles on climate change after having earlier spoken with Sunak in Downing Street. A body language expert observed an unusual gesture between the two. The king was seen receiving a hand from Biden and shockingly extended one back in return. Biden's body language practices portrayed Charles and himself as two close and fairly beloved pals with a lot in common, according to Juvie James, who spoke to Express.co.uk. They were beaming with happiness, and Biden used the same eye contact and face-watching techniques that Rishi had been lecturing him about in Downing Street. As they walked and conversed, Biden put his hand on Charles' back in one of their amazing touch rituals. "Nobody from outside the royal family should ever touch a king in public," she said, and for Charles, this rule frequently seems to extend to his own wife as well. Michelle Obama did once extend her hand behind the Queen's back as a symbol of cordial connection, but Joe Biden's touches and pats on Charles were strong enough to elicit a response from the new monarch, who extended his hand behind the president's back as well. Biden was given the royal salute while at Windsor Castle, where the Welsh Guards played the U.S. national anthem. After having tea with the king, Biden will continue his journey on Tuesday to Vilnius, Lithuania, for an important two-day NATO conference to tackle the conflict in Ukraine. Following an impressive encounter with Biden, King Charles is now seen as a key diplomatic asset for Britain. President Joe Biden is rumored to have critical discussions with King Charles. A royal specialist claims that King Charles is emerging as a key diplomatic asset, following a crucial meeting with President Biden. Prior to the NATO summit, Charles met with U.S. President Joe Biden. According to insiders, Charles intends to repair the strained ties between the U.S. and the UK. At Windsor Castle, the king and the president were spotted shaking hands while also laughing and joking around. Following the encounter, Robert Jobson referred to the king as an asset for the United Kingdom in a piece for the Daily Mail. "We would all benefit more from focusing on the fact that King Charles is developing into a crucial diplomatic asset for the United Kingdom," he continued. "In the turbulent post-Brexit waters, he has already won the hearts of the Germans. There are also crucial discussions to have with President Biden, whose tone toward Britain hasn't always been as cordial as we'd wanted. You will have witnessed the personal warmth between His Majesty and the President," the King's spokesman stated, adding that the meeting went well. The Welsh Guards performed the U.S. national song when the U.S. President arrived, and he was given a royal salute. Before entering the opulent royal residence to discuss climate change over a cup of tea, pictures showed the couple observing the Guard of Honor from the Prince of Wales' company of the Welsh Guards. Following the formalities, the King, 74, and President Biden, 80, took part in a roundtable discussion with financial and philanthropic leaders about climate change. There was also U.S. climate envoy John Kerry. They received an update on the meeting's results, focusing especially on the assistance they may provide for developing nations. The monarch has spent decades advocating for environmental concerns and fighting for conservation, organic farming, and other eco-causes. The two leaders are committed to addressing climate change. King Charles was puzzled by Biden's ushering during his visit to Windsor Castle. President Biden visited Windsor Castle for a cup of tea with the king, but an analyst suggested that the two's exchanges indicated a lot about their affections for one another. An expert in body language claims that King Charles was originally discombobulated by President Joe Biden's actions during his visit to Windsor Castle today. The monarch made several revealing gestures throughout the day that revealed a lot about his emotions, yet it seems the tact between the two revealed the degree of their closeness. On his way to Lithuania for a NATO conference, the President of the United States paid a quick visit to the UK, stopping in at Downing Street to meet Rishi Sunak before continuing on to Windsor Castle for tea with the king and discussions about climate change. The king and the president appeared to be old friends, according to body language expert Judy James, even though first things appeared to be a little puzzling for them. Charles had appeared somewhat bewildered during the pair's initial co-ushering confusion, and a pocket pat self-comfort ritual suggested he might be having trouble. But by the end, he was pointing and giggling after giving in to Biden's two gentlemen of a certain age charm routine and becoming a little more tactile than usual. According to Ms. James, there were numerous indications of warmth and a sincere connection between the two. As Charles tried to do the regal thing of gently and subtly steering his guest to avoid the kind of choreographic catastrophe that happened when Trump stepped in front of the late Queen during his visit, forcing her to peer and dodge around him to play catch-up on the parade ground, he quickly found Biden had other plans, leading to two moments when each man was trying to usher the other, she said. When Charles put a hand behind Biden's back to gently guide him, Biden responded to the gesture as if it were from an old friend and raised his own arm above the king's. Zara has some catching up to do if she wants to be the one who utilizes the most tactile behavior on her uncle in public, as evidenced by Biden's enormously tactile display towards Charles, which involve at least 4 PDAs. During their handshake, Biden grabbed Charles' upper arm, and as they'd approached the dais, he put his other hand on Charles' back. After the troop review, Charles's hand of friendship was placed again on his back. At the conclusion of the gesture, both men appeared to be making the other feel the same way as they laughed together and touched each other's backs. Even she acknowledged it was nearly unheard of for such openness to be shown between two such prominent persons, as it would have amounted to a protocol violation. Due to Biden's absence from the king's coronation in May, Charles and the president last spoke on the night of the Queen's funeral in September of last year. A representative for the king said, "An extremely cordial and successful meeting that touched on a wide variety of issues of mutual interest and concern, despite concerns about Biden's anti-British posture amid the alleged snub. You will have witnessed for yourselves the intimacy between the president and His Majesty." Thanks for watching. If you like this video, so please don't forget to subscribe my channel and don't miss any updates.